After my twin brother ran off for love, my mother decided I would step into his place as the official fiancé of Eliza Brown, heiress to one of the city's most formidable business empires. A year later, the gossip around her and her longtime first love had consumed the social scene. Everyone expected me to be humiliated, the fake fiancé, in the spotlight. But I stayed focused, quietly managing merger and acquisition deals while the world whispered. The night our engagement was announced, Eliza had been perfectly clear. "I know you're not Claude. Give me 1 year. I'll convince my family to accept Gregory. After that, the engagement ends, on whatever terms you choose." I had nodded without hesitation. That year, we became a seamless team, efficient and unspoken in our understanding. But when the contract expired and I signed off as agreed, she surprised me by refusing to let it end. The first time I met Gregory publicly was at Madame Brown's birthday gala. Every glance in the room seemed to weigh me down, some skeptical, some mocking. I sipped my wine calmly, treating the man approaching us not as Eliza's first love, but as an ordinary guest. "Grandma, happy birthday," Gregory said respectfully, presenting an exquisite calligraphy scroll. His taste was impeccable, bold strokes, deep meaning, but Madame Brown barely glanced at him, chatting with old friends as if he weren't even there. The tension in the room thickened. Eliza moved to intervene, but I gently held her hand. Meeting her eyes, I whispered, "If you step in now, it'll only make her displeased." I stood, examined the painting, and complimented Gregory sincerely. I had my assistant seat him properly, signaling that, here, I was in control. A flicker of emotion crossed Eliza's face, but she said nothing, though her gaze followed him the entire evening. While I mingled briefly, Gregory and Eliza slipped away unnoticed. When asked, I offered a smooth excuse, business matters. But stepping outside for a breath of air, I saw them, Gregory, panicked and pale, running, with Eliza in tow. "Gregory, wait, listen," I called. He didn't notice, head down, until he stumbled into my arm. The impact sent me crashing into the fountain. Eliza, ignoring me completely, rushed to his side, steadying him. By the time I pulled myself from the water, they were gone, leaving only the crowd's murmurs and pointed stares. "I always knew Miss Brown couldn't let go of her first love," someone whispered. "And look at the poor son of the Law family, completely ignored." I smiled faintly. The humiliation didn't touch me, I wasn't Claude. Their feelings weren't mine to bear. What mattered was the respect of those who truly saw the effort I had put in, and, perhaps, the injustice of how Madame Brown herself seemed unsettled by my calm composure. Madame Brown wasted no time making her intentions clear. To appease me, she handed over full responsibility for a high-potential new energy project. When my assistant finished arranging the files, his concern was obvious. "President Law, Miss Brown is treating you this way, and you're taking on such a huge project." I simply patted his shoulder. "It's exactly what I deserve," I said. With less than a month left on our 1-year agreement, I knew all of this would soon reach its natural conclusion. I didn't expect to see Eliza Brown in my office late at night. At this hour, instead of being with the man she loved, she was here, under my roof. Only later did I learn that Madame Brown had instructed her to assist me, the wronged fiancé, with the project. She had no choice but to comply, and so we spent 3 long days working side by side. Out of curiosity more than necessity, I dragged her into a market risk simulation. Her strategies crumbled under scrutiny, leaving her utterly speechless, as though she had glimpsed an entirely new world. The experience sparked an unexpected determination in her. She insisted on running simulated trading sessions for 2 full days and nights, completely absorbed. When she finally left, her expression was alight with excitement. The following morning, she woke me early, eager for another round of strategy exercises. Unsurprisingly, she lost again. By the weekend, the industry summit forced us to attend together. She was mid-argument with me over last quarter's financial data when her voice suddenly faltered. Following her gaze, I spotted Gregory a short distance away, chatting with a woman. Eliza's expression darkened instantly. As they moved toward the other side of the room, I nudged her lightly. "I'm not going over," she said coldly. And then she fell silent. Throughout the summit, she seemed distracted, lost in thought. Eventually, she claimed she needed to go to the restroom, but instead, she followed them. I stayed put, observing. Even after the summit ended, Eliza didn't return. When I went back to the office, Madame Brown asked, and I made up an excuse for her absence. 2 days passed before she reappeared, reeking of alcohol. I wasn't prepared, she nearly toppled me as she stumbled in. After some effort, I settled her onto the lounge sofa. Her eyes were unfocused, her voice carrying a faint trace of defeat. "Gregory, he's going to take my investment," she muttered. I paused but didn't react. Perhaps he simply wanted to prove himself in business. Eliza and Gregory had their cycles, falling out, then reconciling, and I had long grown accustomed to it. She raised her arm to cover her reddened eyes, a bitter smile lingering on her lips. "This time, it's different," she murmured. I knew enough of their history to understand why she felt that way. After Gregory's family went bankrupt, Eliza had poured immense resources into helping him, shielding him from creditors. Yet the Brown family could not accept him as a son-in-law. 3 years of stalemate followed, until she eventually agreed to the marriage alliance, not with me, but with my brother, Claude. She spoke in fragments, trailing off until I finished my emails, unaware that she had dozed off with her head resting on my desk. When I stirred, she was gone, but a woman's trench coat, faintly scented and draped over me, remained. Moments later, she returned, clearing her throat awkwardly. "About the birthday banquet? I'm sorry. Would you like some coffee?" she offered, placing a steaming cup on my desk. I took it, still half awake. "Thank you." I thought this would follow the usual pattern. Eliza would soon reconcile with Gregory. But this time, things were different. She stayed at the office for days, and Gregory moved out of the apartment she had arranged for him. Whenever she had free time, Eliza had started spending almost every moment at the office with me, analyzing project details, sitting in on meetings, even staying late into the night. For weeks, I hadn't found the right moment to address the engagement's end. Meanwhile, Madame Brown couldn't have been happier. She claimed it was the ancestors' blessing and insisted we take a break at a countryside horse ranch. By coincidence, we ran into Eliza on the way, and Madame Brown, ever decisive, pulled her along without hesitation. Chapter 3. Unfortunately, Gregory was there too, with Fuhan by his side. As we approached, I felt a sudden brush of movement. Eliza had leaned close, brushing stray grass from my shoulder. Her smile carried a subtle softness, unmistakably intentional. For a heartbeat, I realized what she was doing. Gregory's expression darkened as he noticed us, and I quietly reminded her, "He can't see us like this." Eliza froze, then stepped back. I was distracted. "Don't misunderstand," she said, ears faintly pink, retreating toward the lounge. I waited for her to emerge, then led a horse across the grass alone. The calm was shattered by a gunshot. Pain exploded at the back of my head. Someone had pressed a gun against me. A few steps away, Gregory had also been caught. "Don't move, or both of them die," a voice threatened. Eliza rushed forward, taking in the scene, members of the Wang family, bankrupt and seeking revenge after losing to the Browns. Her gaze hardened into something feral, teeth clenched. "Let them go, or you'll regret it. Name your demands, but not a hair on them can be harmed." The kidnappers hesitated, and Eliza's assistant seized the chance to negotiate. They agreed to release one hostage first, Gregory, provided 200 million was paid for the other. Without hesitation, Eliza pointed at him. All eyes shifted to me. I remained calm. Gregory was freed, pale and trembling, hiding behind her. The gun pressed harder against my head, cold and unyielding. In that split second, I moved, using the combat skills my mother had drilled into me. The kidnapper went down in a single move. By the time police sirens wailed, I had already subdued them all and handed them over. Eliza stood frozen, disbelief written across her face. Only now did she seem to remember. I wasn't Claude, I was Jason. Raised under my mother's exacting standards, trained to be a successor. Recovering, she ran to me, hugging me tightly. "Are you hurt?" she asked, voice trembling. I pushed her away gently. "Let go." Chapter 4. On the way back, Eliza clung to me, repeating, "I didn't mean to give up on you." I stayed calm. "I know," I said. There was no anger, no expectation. We never had a relationship requiring explanations. She misread my composure, grabbing my hand to check my pulse. "Jason, if you're upset, you can do anything to me. Please, don't treat me this way." "I'm not angry," I replied, leaving her words hanging. The steadier I remained, the more unsettled she became. Word of the incident spread quickly through the company. Employees whispered and gossiped, but I ignored it. When my assistant protested, I stopped him. "Let it go. There's no need to waste time." And honestly, they were telling the truth. The next day, those who had spread rumors were transferred away. It turned out Eliza had ordered it herself. From then on, she found every possible excuse to appear in my office: rare coffee beans, market reports, intelligence analyses. My assistant was thrilled. I found it cumbersome. Finally, the one-year engagement came to its end. Just as I prepared to find Eliza, Madame Brown summoned me. When I arrived, both Eliza and Gregory were there. During this period, Gregory had visited the old family residence often, sharing antiques and stories with Madame Brown. Slowly, the matriarch's attitude softened. She could see how much her granddaughter loved him. Calling me in today was her way of clarifying her position. Gregory glanced at Eliza with warmth, but her eyes remained locked on me. She pulled out a chair, poured me a glass of warm water, and I didn't touch it. I excused myself under the guise of work. Eliza wanted to follow, but Gregory stepped in, silently blocking her. Eliza arrived at my office that evening, dressed in a way that carried a faint woody scent, calling my name with a tenderness that made the room feel smaller. "Jason," she said, her voice soft. I didn't flinch. "Eliza, let's end the engagement," I said, calm and unshakable. Her entire expression froze, the color draining from her face. Panic crept into her voice. "Jason, don't do this." I ignored her protests and opened a drawer, pulling out a document. Laid before her were 2 crisp copies, titled in stark black letters, "Termination of Engagement Agreement." My signature was already on them. Our contract was for 1 year. Today is the last day. "Miss Brown, this is simply the end of a transaction. Nothing more." She stared at the papers as if they were some monstrous force. Her usual composure vanished, replaced by raw desperation. No, Jason, it's not just a transaction," she cried, reaching for my hand, but I stepped away. "I'll compensate you," she continued frantically, her words tumbling out. "I can give you shares, more money, anything. I love you, Jason. I really do." I smiled faintly, shaking my head. "I've already received my compensation, the project. Between us, we're even. As for your love? It's too cheap. I don't need it." At that moment, the office door burst open. Gregory rushed in, concern etched across his face. "Eliza, I heard you and Jason." "Get out," she snapped, shoving him back. All she saw was my retreating figure. Without hesitation, I opened the door and walked out. The click of it behind me sealed the finality of the moment. Eliza collapsed onto the sofa, powerless, for the first time truly realizing her world was crumbling. Chapter 6. Eliza moved swiftly, trying to suppress the news of the engagement's end. But my legal team had already acted. By morning, every major financial outlet carried the same announcement: Ms. Eliza Brown and Mr. Claude Law had mutually terminated their engagement for personal reasons. The statement was airtight, painting a clean, respectful separation. The business world buzzed. Everyone assumed I would cling to power or influence, yet my decisive exit earned respect. Eliza, on the other hand, was frantic. She tore through her phone, searched the Law family home, galleries, restaurants we had visited together, only to discover I had vacated my apartment. My private line was dead. I had vanished completely. The only place she could still see me was at weekly New Energy Project meetings. In the conference room, I was unflinching, focused. Her attempts to get close, coffee, casual conversations, were ignored, over and over. For the first time, Eliza felt powerless. She went from commanding partner to desperate bystander. Then Claude returned. His life with his true love overseas had been disastrous, humiliation and financial collapse had followed. Seeing Eliza unable to reclaim me stirred a deep jealousy. Teaming up with Gregory, who also despised me, they confronted me at the Brown Group headquarters. Claude's eyes were red. "Little brother, I know you like Eliza, but you can't do this to me." Gregory added venomously, accusing me of scheming to steal what should have been my brother's happiness. The crowd gathered, murmuring. I leaned back, cold amusement curling at my lips. "Brother," I said quietly, "let me remind you of something." I played the recording of Claude asking me to step in after he ran off. The room fell silent. Claude's face drained of color, his sobbing cut short. With no leverage left, Eliza was forced to take desperate measures. She personally went to Claude's mother. Eliza tried to appeal to an elder, hoping her words might sway me, bending her posture in a rare display of humility. She went to Claude's mother, hoping to find leverage through him. But the older woman simply poured her a cup of tea, serene and unhurried. "Eliza," she said softly, steam curling from the cup, "between my 2 sons, the one I have always admired most is my younger son. He has his own judgment, his own ability, and he has never let me down. Whatever decision he makes, I will support it without question." Eliza's last hope shattered in that moment. Undeterred, Gregory and Claude turned to more ruthless methods. They unleashed a coordinated campaign of online rumors, painting me as a manipulative, calculating man, scheming to insert myself into the Brown family, even framing my own brother. The lies spread like wildfire across social media. I didn't respond. My focus remained entirely on my work. Days later, at the project launch, I personally took the stage. The New Energy Initiative had achieved a breakthrough in core energy conversion efficiency far beyond industry standards. The announcement sent the Brown Group stock soaring to the daily upper limit for 3 consecutive days. My reputation as a business prodigy was solidified. Madame Brown watched from home, impressed by my composure and capability, but she also saw the vile rumors circulating online. Her fury was immediate. She granted a media interview, publicly refuting the false claims, and made one thing unmistakably clear: our family will never accept a man as morally corrupt as Gregory into the Browns. Eliza felt the weight of her grandmother's words, combined with Gregory and Claude's reckless behavior. She finally saw Gregory for what he truly was. She stormed to confront him and Claude in the middle of their celebration. "Stop this immediately," she said coldly, "or I will make sure you pay the price." Gregory realized, too late, that he had lost her completely. Desperate, he made one last attempt at revenge. Using the tiniest trace of lingering trust Eliza still had in him, he hacked into the project team's servers and stole what he thought were the core data files, the supposed lifeblood of the new energy project. He sold them to the Arion Group, longtime rivals of the Browns, intending to destroy me and ruin the project I had poured my heart into. The Arion Group eagerly invested enormous sums into development, thinking they had found a shortcut to crush the Brown Group. But the data had been tampered with from the beginning, deliberately leading them down a false path. Within days, the Arion Group faced catastrophic losses, teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. At the next project meeting, I revealed the truth. "Mr. Gregory's recent actions have been too aggressive," I said, presenting server logs and surveillance footage. "I noticed someone coveting what wasn't theirs, so I prepared a little gift." The core data Gregory had stolen had been bait all along. Shock rippled through the room. Eliza's face went pale. The Arion Group, furious at being deceived, involved the authorities, formally accusing Gregory of corporate espionage. Within days, his reputation was ruined. Legal claims piled up, criminal prosecution loomed, and his allies, including Fu Han, abandoned him. Gregory fell from a once-admired figure into a criminal shunned by everyone, facing prison and ruin. Claude panicked when he saw his strongest ally destroyed. He came to me, tears streaming, begging forgiveness for his reckless choices, claiming his elopement had been driven by love and circumstance. But I remained unmoved. "Forgive you?" I asked, calm and precise. "Claude Law, because of your reckless selfishness, both the Law family and the Brown family were disgraced. Mother has already transferred 70% of the group's shares into my name." The words hit Claude like a hammer. I was now the sole heir of the Law group. He collapsed, hollow-eyed, muttering to himself. He hadn't just lost Eliza, he had lost the family fortune he had always relied upon. For a fleeting, illusory love, he lost everything. Eliza watched silently from a distance, taking in the shattered Claude and my unwavering coldness. Only then did she truly realize. Understood. I didn't add anything else. The silence itself carried the weight of everything that had passed, the betrayals, the schemes, the victories, and the losses. No words could undo the past, and no apology could change the fact that from the very beginning, our paths had never been aligned. The white chrysanthemum swayed gently in the breeze, a quiet testament to the mentor who had been taken too soon. Standing there, I allowed myself a rare moment of reflection. Revenge had been precise, calculated, and complete, but it had also come at a cost. Every move, every step, had required patience, foresight, and restraint. And now, finally, that chapter was closed. Eliza's message remained on my phone, a faint echo of remorse. I didn't delete it. I didn't reply again. Some things are meant to remain as reminders, not for reconciliation, but for clarity, for closure. I straightened my posture, looked out over the city skyline, and felt the calm that comes after a storm. The Law Group was secure. The new energy project was thriving. The debts of the past had been settled. And for the first time, I could truly move forward, not as a pawn, not as a replacement, but as Jason, the one who had claimed his place on his own terms. The game was over, and I had won. Just one word. Simple, yet heavy with meaning. Thank you, for letting me finish what I started. Thank you, for finally letting me go. Madame Brown, having heard the full story from Eliza, sat quietly in her study, her gaze distant. After a long pause, she spoke, "Our Brown family owes him justice. You are not worthy of him." Those words extinguished the last flicker of hope in Eliza's heart. She knew, finally, that she had lost me forever. With that realization, she made a move that shook the business world. In a press conference, she announced that she would personally transfer 10% of the Brown Group's shares to me, free of charge, as both compensation for her past mistakes and recognition of my contributions to the new energy project. The world expected me to accept. A fortune like that would have cemented my status as a business titan. But I surprised everyone. I held my own press conference, standing tall under countless cameras, and publicly refused her offer. "My compensation has already been earned," I stated firmly. "The success of the new energy project is payment enough. We are already even." Then I revealed the next move. After discussions with the Brown Group's board, I would lead the core team to spin off the new energy project, forming a brand new, independent company. The company would be called Luminous Technology, and I would serve as its chairman. On the day of the announcement, I stood beneath the spotlight, wearing a perfectly tailored black suit, calm, powerful, unshakable. Every achievement had been earned by my own ability, built with intellect, strategy, and determination. From the floor-to-ceiling windows of the top floor, I looked out over the glittering city, alone yet unburdened. Freedom and peace filled me, more valuable than any fortune. Across the city, Eliza watched on television. She saw the man I had become, dazzling, untouchable, far beyond her reach. A bitter smile curved her lips, tinged with release.